Hey guys, there's one person out there, or maybe two people out there, that like watching the videos with the unskilled labourer doing sundry projects. Those two people might remember this thing that the old guy made recently. It's got some butterfly nets sticking out of it now, but there's still lots of other toys. There's a big toy box there that's got toys in it, and then there's sundry other things that don't fit in the toy box. And it's like a minefield when the old man walks around at night. If it's a bit dark or he's not paying attention, he's always falling over things in the dark. So need to tidy it up a bit. So figured that we'd get the unskilled labourer to do what would be possible to do with the materials we have on hand. As is usually the case when we have projects, we try to do them with materials that we already have without spending any money at all. So we have this wall here that has little nails sticking through it from the other side, from that sheeting there, which isn't a big problem. They only stick through a few mil, but for this project they're going to be in the way, so gave the unskilled labourer some electrical tools to hurt himself with. Cut off the ends of the nails, make it smooth, and then off to the storeroom, because we know we've got some ply. There's a thin one there that's about 4 mil, that's just too thin for the job. And there was another one that's pretty thick, it was about 12 mil, this stuff that was used in the floorboards. Some of you might have seen the bedroom we did recently. The old guy did up the bedroom and used some of this for the floor because it's fairly thick. So we had one sheet of that left over. The height was actually pretty much spot on. 180 centimetres was exactly spot on for what we wanted, but the width was a little bit too wide, so I had to cut a few centimetres off it without cutting a leg off or a hand off or a finger or something else like that. That'd make a video though, wouldn't it? We might get a few views on a video that cut off a hand or a finger or a leg or something. But it was not to be this day, sadly. All the limbs remained intact. So just checking the size, because as you guys know, old houses, nothing's ever square. So it sort of measured that. The top was different to the bottom, and cut a bit of an angle to see if we could fit it, and it fitted. So far so good. And then there was a bit of a plan. We don't want any. There's a good chance that some little people might boof against this sheet when it's up, and we don't want the outside sheeting to be damaged. So just a bit of support for this thing. It's really heavy, that ply is really heavy because it's thick, but most of the weight's going to be straight down, so then it just needs a bit of support back and front to stop it moving back if somebody hits on it, kicks it, or does something silly like that, and to stop it falling forward and killing somebody, some little person. So made some supports for it there. And again, all this stuff is stuff that was in the workshop and in that storage room. Whitey sealer, so only white people are allowed to use that apparently. No, it's not true. It's not true. That's the sealer. Some of you guys would have seen that's left over from that bedroom job, and we were really impressed with it. It did such a good job, so we decided to use it here as well, because obviously this job's going to be out of the weather, but it's going to get a bit of sunlight, and it does get pretty humid and damp in summer here, so gave it a good sealing, and then it'll also make the paint take to it, because it's going to get scratched and kicked and damaged and toys banged against it and all sorts of. It's going to have a rough life out there. And we found with that bedroom job that the sealant really made a difference to how well the paint took to the wood, and how much harder it was to scratch rather than just going straight bare onto the wood. So I sealed it, and then a few hours later, sealed it in the morning, and this is night time now. So as always with these jobs, the unskilled labourer does these jobs in between other sundry things that he does for real, obviously none of which are professional trades work, obviously, that's fairly evident. Oh, the little water bottle there with the paint in it, we found that's a really good thing. When you have leftover paint from a job, we stick it in one of those little water bottles, or a big water bottle if there's a bit left over, and it just makes so much of a difference. It keeps the paint better than in an old paint can, And then when it comes time to use it, just unscrew the lid, pour out what you want, and do the lid up again. So it's amazing they don't sell paint like that, because it's much more convenient than the dodgy can. You know, trying to open a paint can lid that's been stuck down and trying to put it back, close it all up properly again. And paint cans are a pain, aren't they? But the bottle thing works so well, so convenient. So there we go, that's our little thing for the bottom. It's got a piece cut out of it because there's a bolt down the bottom there you can see sticking up. So just want to stop it from banging back against that clear plastic sheeting, because it's not real strong, that stuff, of course. So just want a few mil, just that stopping the board from hitting against the plastic. So it's just a few mil off the plastic there, and then screw it down. Again, none of this softwood that we're using at the bottom there, and it's not real serious, it's pretty thin. But again, most of the weight's down, so it's just enough just to stop it getting hit backwards into the plastic. And same again at the top. Oh, that's polystyrene, guys, that white sheeting you can see there. And again, that was left over from something. Can't remember what that was, some packaging or something. Just put it up there, just as a bit of insulation between the sun, because the sun comes around there, that's the south. The sun's beats on there from early in the morning. So just because we had the polystyrene lying around, threw it in the wall as insulation. No real reason to. Just been toying with the idea of actually putting insulation in that roof above the head there, the old guy's head. There's a tin roof. And this is sort of an outdoor area. It's got that wall, but both ends are open. I'm toying with the idea of insulating that roof with the mountain of polystyrene that we've got. We've got a mountain of polystyrene and a mountain of wood that would work for it too, fairly thin wood. Put a ceiling in that roof there with the polystyrene as insulation might make a difference to how pleasant this area is in summer, because it gets pretty warm. We had a 40-degree day one day last summer, so it does get pretty warm. So just a couple of screws onto those supports, those horizontal supports there. Don't really want to put any weight or pressure on that. That was just to sort of keep them together. Bit of white paint to touch up. Still a little bit left over too. There's still a cup full, half a cup of white paint left over for some other job. Finish that off. Big nail, see the big nail? Drilled a hole first, a little bit smaller than the big nail. And again, those nails were left over from the old guy that used to have the house. Some of you might remember we had 10 tons of stuff left here by the old farmer that owned the place. Some of it's really handy stuff. So a lot of the stuff that's getting used on this job was left here by him. There's a couple of brackets there, the bouncy pogo stick thing. So see how the white sheet now is sort of recessed back. So even when we put all these things on it, they're still not sticking out. So when you walk past, you're not going to knock them off the wall with your arm or anything. They're sort of recessed back into a space that's not usually used for anything. So it gets these things up off the ground and out of the way, things that don't fit in the toy box. So everything's either in that wall or in the toy box, or the long skinny things are sticking out of that other thing that we made. Oh, this is just a bit of a thing. Sort of pointless really. It's a cap off a detergent bottle. And the scooter, the bicycles all have little stands, so they can sort of park them over against the wall, but the scooter doesn't have a stand, which means it either gets leant against the wall and then sort of rolls and falls over, and then the old guy trips over it, or it just gets left lying on the ground. So we don't like that either. So this is, the idea of this is to make a parking area for the scooter, right? So just screwing that cap to the wall and then line the scooter up, yeah, that works. So okay, a little bit more of that paint and paint up that cap so it looks like it belongs there. And it worked. The little people came along and drew a rectangle around the scooter's wheels and wrote scooter parking on it, and that's where the scooter lives now. So that worked. For now, anyway, for today. We'll see what happens the rest of forever. We actually anticipate as time goes on that we'll have different things hanging on that board as the people's interests change. So total cost of this job was 0. And it has made a bit of a difference. Those things aren't lying on the ground getting tripped over now. And then as time changes and interests change, probably the hula hoops will disappear and be given to smaller people, and pogo stick will go somewhere else, and then other things will get hung up there probably. But in the meantime, that worked, didn't it? Anyway, there it was. Hope one person's still watching and enjoyed it. More videos coming soon.